Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Santin, and welcome to today's video, Legends of Runeterra. Today, what are we going to be doing? Today we're going to be talking about some decks. Recently we had a balance patch, a fairly sizable balance patch at that. Lots of stuff got buffed, lots of stuff got nerfed. I'm trying to make this video for people who just are a little overwhelmed by all of the new changes. People who just want to play with some of the changed cards, but they just don't exactly know what they want to play, or maybe they just don't want a deck build and just want to play some of the new cards, the buff cards, to be more precise. We got 6 decks we're going to be looking at today. I tried to get a deck for each of the buff champions. I believe the only champion I don't have a deck for is Tahm Kench. And my reasoning for that is I don't think Tahm Kench is good even with the buff. But I could be wrong about that, but I don't have a Tahm Kench buff. I apologize if you were hoping for a Tahm Kench deck. But I got some Fiora stuff, some Swain stuff, Yi stuff, Leona stuff. I think that's all of the buff champions. Oh, and Nocturne as well. So, every single deck here I think is pretty solid. At the very least, a tier 2 deck. Maybe not in the form I'm showing them off. Definitely, this is day one decks. Need some fine tuning. Need to let a meta start to stabilize and show up so we can adjust flex spots and tech for the meta. But I think these are all very good decks that you can get a decent win rate with. So let's go and look at these decks then, why not? All right. So, first off, we're going to start with something that's a blast from the past, really, an older deck, Fiora Shen. If you don't know, because, you know, Fiora Shen's been out of the meta for a while because Fiora's been kind of dead for a while. Fiora Shen is pretty much a tempo-y mid-range deck. The game plan is basically you're just going to get some value with barriers using Challenger to remove annoying things. And you have the threat of an instant win with a Fiora looming over your opponent. I'd say like maybe 1 out of every 10 games you probably get the Fiora win con, so don't go for it. But pretty much just get on the board and don't lose board presence using things, basically using your protection magic. We're using some of the newer cards though. Momentous Choice, Hookmaster as well. That's pretty much it for the newer cards though from the latest sets. Everything else is pretty standard though. You know, you got your challengers like your Broadwings, your Screeching Dragons, your Fioras. There's a lot of stuff you can add to this deck too. You can add, say, Spirit Refuge, the Lifesteal Barrier for 4 mana. You could add Bright Steel Formation, I believe is the name. That's the big barrier card. I think it's 9 mana. You can consider the Shen Boat. It's like 7 mana or something, I believe. I don't think you like those cards, though. I'd rather just play more rallies. I think Rally is the way to go instead of playing those kind of big late game clunky cards. Predominantly because Ionia and Recalls are very annoying. But yeah, this is a pretty solid deck. I think it's very good. Shen Fiora is a favorite of a lot of people. Fiora going up to 4 does kind of mess up your curve a little bit. You do like to go... The old Shen Fiora like to go turn 3 Fiora, turn 4 Shen, attack in on turn 4, barriering Fiora with your Shen and getting a solid kill. Now I'd say you probably do like turn 4 champion, turn 5 other champion, and go from there. But I think it is a okay deck. I think it's very solid. It is a little weak to Noxus, I will say. So if Swain and just Ravenous Flock in general does start to show up more, you might be a little bit worried about that. Rallies do let you fight them though, and Concerted Strike lets you deal with their big stuff. But Fiora and all the other units just dying to Flock kind of hurts deck. I guess Shen and Screeching Dragon and Pod don't die to it though. So yeah, solid deck to start with, nothing crazy new here. Now our next deck though, what do we got? So I like this deck. I don't think this is the best Swain deck. I don't think there's actually any one truly best Swain deck. I think every Swain deck people are trying all have something going for them that makes them good in one way while weaker in other ways, and overall, there isn't just one good one at the moment because, again, meta isn't settled yet. TriBeam Swain. I've actually played this deck before. I'd say like the last time I played Swain TriBeam, I think was 6 months ago. I looked at my Mobalytics account to grab this deck list and edit it. And I just changed up some of the cards. For example, I was playing Station Archivist, Whispered Words, Death's Hand, and we just changed up some of the stuff, added some of the newer cards like Castaway and Hookmaster, took out Whispered Words for Parts Made Whole. Not sure about how many Parts Made Whole I want. At first, I was still playing all 3, and I was only playing 5 Weapon Masters. I think 2 Hookmaster, 3 Castaway, and 1 of Pharaoh's Financier. Not sure if I like all 6 of these or if I like only 5. Still working on the ratios of this deck. Not sure if I also want Aloof Traveler in this deck. Not sure if I like Aftershock or Death's Hand better. I think I like Aftershock at the moment more. Not sure on how many Thermo Beams. Again, this is like all these decks. Not sure on a lot of flex spot cards. I think 2 Thermo is correct. 3 I like because it just deals with other bigger units. But I could definitely see taking out the 3rd Thermo for something else. But yeah, I like this deck. I think it's very solid. It's got the weakness of pretty much all Tri-Beam decks, though. That is, if you don't find your Tri-Beam early, it kind of feels bad and like you're just a bad removal pile deck. But you could add other stuff into this deck, too. Like, I know some people like to play Captain Farron in the deck as well. Like, 2 Leviathan, 1 Captain Farron. I think triple Leviathan is better with the buff. Maybe you could squeeze in one of Farron still. I don't think you need the extra late game, but you could consider it. But I like this deck. I think it's very fun. And it's been a while since Tri-Beam has really seen play in the meta, so try it out. Next up, what do we got? We got Fearsome, Nightfall, whatever you want to call it. We got Nocturne. I like the Callista version. I think the Callista Nocturne is better than Nocturne Elise. I know some people are playing Nocturne Elise. I feel like if you're going to play Nocturne Elise, you should play more spiders than what I've got here, like House Spider. But I think this is just much better. You might say, why are we playing Harrowing if Harrowing got nerfed? It's now 10 mana. Really, it's because of Nocturne. You play Harrowing, Nocturne coming back with Harrowing just shrinks everything so they can't block anything, so Harrowing is still pretty much a I win kind of card in that scenario. As for the rest of the deck, pretty standard. We're splashing in Noxus basically just for more Fearsomes. Just spam Fearsomes at your opponent. Pretty much almost every single unit we have has Fearsome in some way. The only things that don't have Fearsome are, Wraithcaller and Doombeast. And I guess you could argue Onlooker after the Nightfall. But everything else has Nightfall. Pretty good. And we got some reach with Mark of the Isles. I think Mark of the Isles is better than just playing Shadow Isles Telestone because we don't really care about Crumble or whatever the name of that other spell is, the Kindred Champ spell. But yeah, I think this is definitely a solid, powerful deck. Very, very scary deck. Nightfall and Fearsomes combined brings the terror of both of things. You get the Mist Wraith shenanigans going on, and you get Doombeast plus Stalking Shadow. You can also consider playing war cards. There is, I can't remember the name of the spell, but the burst speed spell that basically says activate the Nightfall ability again. I'm not a fan of that in this version of the deck. We just don't have that many Nightfall cards. Our only Nightfall cards are Nocturne, Doombeast, and I believe Onlooker? If you want to play that card, I think you should be just the traditional Targon Shadow Isles Nightfall, but this is more of a Fearsome deck with some Nightfall synergy. But yeah, very solid, aggressive deck. Not sure it will take over as the best aggro deck. I have no idea what will become the best aggro deck in this current set. But Nightfall, Fearsome, whatever you want to call this, Fearsome decks seem like they might be the deck of choice for aggressive players. Maybe Annie Jin could show up too. And our next deck, another Swain deck. I wanted to put in 2 Swain decks because the first Swain deck was a more of a just deck I like. This deck, though, I think is probably the best overall, all-around Swain deck if you don't want to specialize too much. TF Swain. TF Swain is a classic deck. Favorite of a lot of people. I like the version I'm showing off here. I do like the one of Riptide Rex. I'm not... Triple Leviathan, one of Riptide Rex might be a little too much late game. I'm mostly just trying it for now, but I really like it. I know some people have been playing Noxian Fervor. You could definitely consider Noxian Fervor. Some people like Krusty Codger as well as the 1-drop slot. It's a 1 mana 2/4. When it gets summoned, deals 2 to itself. I prefer Watchful Idol. Watchful Idol helps level up Swain really quickly. And if you level up Swain on turn 5, it's very annoying for a lot of decks. As for the rest of the deck, you should know TF Swain by now. It's a classic deck. You know, you get some value with TF. Eye of Nagakaburos and Fortune Croaker gives us a chance to level up, as does Zap. You could add in some more card draw, like Pool Sharks, and maybe even main deck pick a cards. I wouldn't add pick a card, but I would consider adding Pool Shark. Deckhand is the flex spot, I would say. I would probably take out Deckhands for Pool Sharks if I wanted that. I would not go for it, though. I wouldn't add more card draw over the Deckhand because it's really easy to kill TF in the current meta, so TF is mostly just here for his standard flexibility in his cards. And then we just try to set up a Swain Leviathan combo, or get a leveled up Swain to squeeze through and get a Nexus Strike. And if that doesn't work, then we've got Riptide Rex to just destroy their board. But yeah, very strong, very powerful deck. Also very fun too. Eye of Nagakaburos gives the deck some really good card draw. Used to be we played Whispered Words in this. Sure, this is 1 more mana than Whispered Words, but by now we should all know how good burst speed unit summoning is. And our next deck. This is a deck I think I've played the most so far since the balance patch has come out. Leona Aurelion Soul. I love it. These kind of, I'd say, fair Targon piles are some of my favorite decks in the meta, or in the game. Basically just trying to slow the game down with our dirtily mid-gamey units and then play some kind of late-game win con. In this case, that is Aurelion Soul, or to a lesser extent, maybe a Traveler from Priestess, or some kind of Celestials that we got from a Nightfall Eclipse Dragon. But I like this deck. I will say this, the deck does have a problem in that it doesn't seem to draw that well. Some of the games I've played, I will run out of cards. Solari Priestess, I'm playing all 3 of them to try and offset that. It does okay. That's just kind of Targon in a nutshell, though. Targon doesn't really have good card draw. It goes and does card creation. I could see myself adding like maybe a 1 of Trifecta, Celestial Trifecta, if I want a little more card creation, card generation. You could also consider other things like star shapings, more guiding touches too. But I think this is a very good start to the deck. Sun Guardian seems solid. It's just getting really big and hard for your opponents to deal with, and just sitting on the board and being really big and fat and making your opponent's attacks awkward, and attacking in with your other stuff to make your opponent chump block because it gets so big. But it is just a little too fair. Kind of weak against the more unfair decks, like I'd say Lee Sin piles, Ionia piles in general. Against Noxus decks, because Swain's starting to get good, it's not the worst, but it's not great, I'd say. If you start to go against a lot of Ravenous Flock decks, basically, I would go up to triple Guiding Touch to try and use it to keep your units safe from Ravenous Flocks, and Scorched Earth or Guillotine or whatever is a pretty okay tech. It could also just include Star Shapings as well. But I like this deck. I think Leona, I think there is definitely going to be a tier 2 Leona deck out there. Maybe not with Aurelion Soul, maybe with Diana, maybe not even with Demacia, maybe with Ionia instead, and playing like Karma or Master Yi. And our last deck to look at, speaking of Master Yi, we got a Master Yi deck here. Master Yi Lee Sin. I really like this deck. I think this deck is pretty solid. Besides Yi getting the buff, we're also using Eula to give Spell Shield or Overwhelm. Giving Spell Shield or Overwhelm to our champions is just great. Not sure about the build yet. I'm still just messing around with stuff. I'm not playing 3 deep meditations. Instead, I'm playing some Vestayan Disciples to try to make up for the deep meditations. Plus, it gives us more spells in theory. Elusive blockers as well is pretty nice. Most of the time, I would say this deck, though, is not trying to level up Yi. Yi is basically just there to be annoying, giving us permanent discounts and eating up removal to make our Lee Sin safer. And then we use Lee Sin to go for some kills, either an OTK with Overwhelm from Eula, or just slow chip damage through just kicking things into their face. And of course, while I said Yi is not really meant to level up, it's not hard to level him up thanks to how he works with growing with flow, and thanks to Sonic Waves, both in the form of 3 Sonic Waves in our deck and Sonic Waves from Lee Sin himself, giving Yi Challenger and buffing him up if we want. So that's all 6 decks. I really like them all. As for all 6 of these decks, I'd say probably, if I were to say which I think is the most powerful, I'd say either this Yi Lee Sin deck, if you can play it well. It's really tough to play. Or perhaps TF Swain, if you're just wanting to play something really, really powerful. I don't think any of the new brews out there, not just the ones I've shown, but any of them out there, do anything to the best deck in the format, which is Nami Ionia. I think Nami Ionia is going to be the top deck. But I'd love to be proven wrong and see if there is a deck that beats Nami. Some people have been saying Swain piles are beating Nami. I think Swain piles shouldn't beat Nami unless the Nami player is bad. And that's always a problem with Nami decks. If a Nami player is bad, then the deck doesn't look great. But if a Nami player is good, the deck looks unbeatable. Anyway, though, I hope you liked this video. I hope you enjoyed the decks I have shown off, and I hope you have found something to copy and play. As always, I will be sure to put the deck codes down in a pinned comment down below. I'd love to also hear what you guys have been playing yourself, and just what you think overall about this balance patch. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Is there anything you wish was nerfed or buffed that didn't get nerfed or buffed? And if you guys just enjoy the video in general, I'd love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below. Always helps me and the channel out. And if you guys want to keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. Also, if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can go and check me out over on twitch.tv/Zenitton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all again once more for watching this video. And until I see you guys in the next one, bye!